So you've got the job, the friends, the relationship, the great life on paper, but something still feels off, right? I've been there, right? And in this video, I'll show you how I got rid of this feeling, this question that used to just follow me everywhere. It's not really a thing anymore. And how I started feeling more alive than ever before, which turned out was the answer. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly how I did that. So first off, most people think that they can solve this "is this it" feeling with their mind, right? So maybe first of all, what is this question, right? A lot of people ask this, is this it? They look around and they're like, man, maybe things are good, maybe they're not. But they ask themselves, is this it? Like, I've got the things people said that would make me happy, but something's missing. I'm not happy. Is this it? Right? And so I don't know about you, but I know for me, and I've seen other people do it too, is that we try to solve this problem with the mind, right? So an example of that would be meditation, journaling, gratitude lists, affirmations. A lot of the techniques, even the industry, is called mental health, as though all this internal stuff is just in here. It's just a mental thing. I don't know why we call it mental health, because it includes the body. It's not just a mental thing, which we'll get to in a second. So people, raised in a culture like the Western world that is very mental, very intellectual, very disconnected from feeling, from nature, from experience. So we meditate, we journal, we gratitude list, we do affirmations. We think that if we can change our thoughts, if we can analyze our thoughts, if we can quiet our thoughts, that's going to fix the problem. And I tried all of that. I did meditate, I gratitude listed, and I journaled. I did all these things thinking that if I could just figure out my mind, then I would stop asking, is this it? Then I would finally be happy. And that's not what happened. I also tried to solve it with other things. And this is what other people, plenty of people do this too, right? With achievements, whether it's cars, houses, travel, relationships, having kids. I think people can do it. Life doesn't feel right, so they have some babies to hopefully save their marriage and make themselves feel like a sense of meaning and purpose. And I guess for some people it does, but I think it can be a bit of a band-aid in some cases as well. If we're all trying to search, so many people are searching for this answer to is this it? What is the point? Why am I here? Why do I feel just empty? Life is pretty good, right? We live in one of the most abundant, modern, wealthy times in history, and yet so many people are unhappy, right? So we do all that, right? We do all the self-help techniques. That's what I did. We try all the achievement stuff. We get a business, we get the job that we want, we get the relationship that we want, we get the kids that we want, and still something's missing. Still, we ask ourselves, is this it? Right? I can speak about this because this was me. Okay? Now, the reason that this is not working, the reason that most of our approaches to solving this problem, to answering this question, are not working is because we're not dealing with the root issue, right? We incorrectly identify the problem. We think that, in my case, I thought the problem was, hey, maybe it's that I don't have enough money. Maybe it's that I'm not healthy enough. Maybe my girlfriend isn't the right girlfriend for me. Maybe it's that I don't have kids. Maybe it's that I haven't traveled enough. That's what people do, right? You think, if I had more money, or if I had the travel, or if I had the thing, the experience, it can be a house, right? That's sort of the past generation's dream. For my generation, it's more centered around travel and experience, but we do the same thing. We think if I just could travel more, if I could find the place or find the person, find the business, then I'll be happy. But it's not what happens, right? So we think that the problem is, hey, we don't have enough money. We haven't achieved enough, something along those lines, right? So we go and do those things. We make the money, we get the thing, and then we're like, oh, that didn't actually work. We realize over time that, okay, that's not the real problem. Because if it was, it should be solved by now because I solved it, right? So if I made the money and I got the business and I got the relationship and I'm still, is this it? Obviously, that's not the real issue. So we might go a bit deeper and think, okay, the issue is the mind. And so it's obviously inside me, right? It's got to be some way with the way that I'm thinking. Sometimes that can be true. But a lot of times that's just more window dressing, right? The mind, I think, is a reflection of a lot of what's happening in the body, right? So yeah, and that's why we go and meditate and we journal and we do affirmations and we do these things. So we think the problem is in here. We think it's out there, right? In the lack of money. We think it's in here in our thoughts. And most people don't realize that the problem is actually down here in the body. And I would say in our nervous system, in our autonomic nervous system, in the way and the easiest example of this is triggers. Everyone gets triggered, right? Someone can say something to you and immediately you get triggered. How you express that depends on how you've been raised and your specific wiring. Maybe you explode in rage. Maybe you silently seethe. Maybe you detach. You might know about attachment styles. So we have these different ways, but this is an example of how stuff from the past can sit inside our body-mind system and then control us and get in the way of stuff, right? So for me, I'll speak for me, how I look at this is this it thing now, having gone through, I've spent the last 5 years or so doing nervous system healing on myself, not really working with the mind too much, working with the energetics, the emotions, the stress that's been stored in the body. After doing all of that, the way I see this is this it feeling is that after a lifetime of stress, right? And this can be chronic low-level stress, the stress of just having bills to pay, rent to pay, cost of living crisis, all this stuff, the stress that most people in most places these days live with. There can be that stress. There can be shock stress, from a car accident, a single event. There can be prolonged stress throughout childhood with abusive parents. And it can even be like a parent or a caregiver who's just not attuned. Like they're there, they're physically present, but they're not paying any attention to you. They don't care about you. Or they do care, but they don't have the capacity in themselves to pay much attention. All right, so, and then you have, things can happen when you're in when your mum is pregnant with you. What she does, what she experiences when you're inside her belly can also affect your nervous system wiring. So all these things combine to produce a nervous system that's basically, technically, dysregulated, disorganized, chaotic, which really means that it's kind of like your nervous system doesn't know when it's safe. So even when it is safe, when it even is calm and things are good, your nervous system on the inside is still like, it's not safe. I've got to worry about stuff. Is this it? I've got to constantly think about things, worry about what people are saying about me, think about how I don't have enough money, I'm not good looking enough, or I need to have kids, whatever it is. The mind just will not stop. Right? Because the nervous system is all out of sorts. It's all out of whack. It's all sort of confused where it's safe. We're in a safe place. Life is great. Life is good. And yet on the inside, we don't feel that because the nervous system is reacting to the stored stress. If we have a bunch of stored stuff from the past inside of us, it's going, well, hang on. There's all this unprocessed anxiety and fear and doubt and shame and whatever stuff down in this nervous system. So obviously it's pretty dangerous, even though as you look around, you're like, it's actually pretty safe. Right, so the real problem is this, nervous system dysregulation. And I mean, to make it more practical, that's a sort of a conceptual term. To make it more practical, I would just say it boils down to the ability to feel. Because when our nervous system is dysregulated, one of the basic signs of that is that you're not very good at feeling what you're feeling. Right? You could say, I'm angry, but do you know what anger feels like? Because it's a lot more than just saying I'm angry. Can you cry? When was the last time you cried? Right? When you say you feel anxious, like what, do you actually feel it in your body? Some people do. Right? So part of this, and you could say, so when you shut down feelings as a result of being dysregulated in your nervous system, when you choose not to, well, it's not really a choice, but when you shut down those feelings unconsciously, you shut down all feelings. I've said this before in other videos. You feel it all or you feel none of it. So if you're not going to feel your shame, your doubt, your fear, all that stuff, you're not going to feel the joy. And then when you go and have, a life, you have your kids, you have a family, you have the business, really it would probably be quite natural to feel joyful about that, to truly feel grateful, to be like, wow, this is amazing. Life is rich and beautiful and fulfilling. But if you don't have access to those emotions, it's going to feel empty because it is empty. It's empty of all of your emotion, all of the feeling from the past, or the feelings from the past that are unprocessed, that are getting in the way. So that's the problem. If you want to answer this question of is this it, or get rid of this question, this feeling that something's wrong from your life, you've got to be willing to learn to feel, and you've got to put in the time and the effort to regulate your nervous system. That starts with 3 things. I'm not going to go into detail in this because I want to keep this video fairly short. Step 1 is education about your nervous system. Why do you have the feelings that you do? How do they get blocked? What does it look like to go into it? What does it look like to take breaks? Like, just really understand the theory of your nervous system, like people understand the music theory when they play the guitar, right? Step 2 is to follow your impulse. If you're hungry, eat, thirsty, drink, tired, sleep, you need to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. Don't avoid these feelings. Don't disconnect from them. Don't distract yourself from them. Because if you do that with those more obvious feelings, you will do it with more subtle things like the urge to cry. And it's about... Crying might be like, oh, why would you want to do that? Boys don't cry. But this is the thing. If you're not willing to feel your sadness, you're not going to feel your joy. And if you don't feel the joy, you're going to keep asking yourself, is this it? So you need to be able to feel the sadness to feel the joy. And if you want to feel the sadness, you need to be able to feel when it's time to go to the bathroom and go instead of disconnecting from that. So that's step 2. Step 3 can really just be boiled down to learning to feel in all the different ways, which is building on the impulse, following impulse. So look around. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Notice your breath. Can you do those 3 things at the same time? Can you track a uncomfortable sensation in your chest while also seeing the tree in front of you, while also noticing your breath? Can you focus on your breath without changing your breath? I'm just throwing things at you. But it's a process of learning. These are all different techniques like you learn scales on the guitar. If you want to learn how to do this, if this sounds interesting to you, if there is an impulse of some kind to learn more about this, you can learn it from me. There is going to be a link in the description. Or just go to rageheart.co. That's like Braveheart, the movie, but rageheart.co. There's a little bit more information about it. And then if it sounds interesting to you, you can go to the bottom of that page and sign up for a free 7-chapter email series. It's a story. It'll explain a bit more about this approach to being healthy, happy, and whole, and getting rid of that question, is this it? Like dealing with the root, the core thing that's driving that behind that. That's what Rage Heart's about. So maybe I'll see you there.